Hey friends, today we're going to be doing some memes from my community Discord server, the Scratching Post. Let's see what they've been posting in our Feral Memes channel. Autistic advice from neurotypicals. Have you tried going gluten-free? I've really heard that can help with your autism. I've heard quite a few things, including broccoli, including keto, including all kinds of diets for autism. Yeah. No thanks, neurotypical autistic advice. But autistic advice from other autistic people. Have you tried using 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner? It helps with my executive dysfunction. If showering involves less steps, then it's easier to do consistently. Wow, well, I'm actually gonna try that. That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you if you shop for male toiletries, they tend to just be like 2-in-1 or like 10-in-1 or whatever, just like everything in one bottle anyway. This is the moisturiser and sunscreen I use. There is a link in the description. It's not sponsored or anything, but this is great and it's just all in one. Just put that on my face, job done. Always wear sunscreen, by the way.
Wear sunscreen.
Me. Why does everyone keep asking if I'm okay? Also me, all day with my dumb face. And this is actually a plushie. I don't know, is it like a tortoise or is it a turtle? No, it's a tortoise. It is a very angry, it's kind of got like one of those cave troll faces from Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I wouldn't approach somebody that looked like a cave troll from Lord of the Rings. But having said that, a lot of the time, this is really relatable because, you know, I could really be enjoying myself and just look like I'm not enjoying myself, just look plain, just look sort of normal. If I'm not enjoying myself, I'm probably just going to leave at this point, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Social engagement, I'm kind of done. Okay, I think I've done my time here. My penance is over. I can leave now. I'm probably not going to sit there trying to mask my face, do the right face stance. As Pianovelli said. Oh gosh, this is a long one. Autistic man stranded on desert island asks rescue team for a couple more weeks. To be fair, it does look quite a nice island. And as long as his basic needs are covered and he's got his, you know, his sunscreen, right? An autistic man who became stranded on a desert island after a shipwreck has asked the search and rescue team who found him if they wouldn't mind fucking off again, reports have confirmed. Concerns have been growing for Eddie Albington, 45, ever since he was the only member of his crew not recovered within hours of the wreckage. But despite his family's fears, Ableton was reportedly not just surviving, but thriving. Rescue worker, 32, said, he was looking a little thin, but otherwise seemed in weirdly good spirits for somebody who'd been isolated from society with seemingly no hope of return. We usually get a hero's welcome, but when he saw us, he responded, oh, for fuck's sake. I wonder if I could have all my like snorkeling and like swimming and dive stuff there. That would be great. I'd have fun. It would be okay. ABA therapy. My bully's hitting me every single time I did something wrong. Yeah, this is kind of that conditioning thing. Like classic ABA, and I have a video on ABA that I'm currently doing research for. If you're involved in ABA at all, please feel free to get in touch. Corporate needs to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture. I will be getting to ABA therapy. I know I compared ABA therapy to learning to dive by getting waterboarded. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. It's a big topic. Subscribe and stay in touch because it is coming soon. Hopefully with this month. We'll see. I've got a lot of research on it. Setting pets down. Dog owner. There you go, buddy. Cat owner. Be free. Oh, do you know what? There was one time I was holding Trudy, our Chihuahua, and I sort of went to drop her down and I dropped her the same way I would a cat, you know, with one of our 4-legged cats. I'd just be like, there you go on the floor. I need the dog police to come and take me away. But honestly, yeah, I dropped her. I dropped Trudy. Bird owner. Yeah, I don't know about that. We've got chickens. They're not very yeetable. You could not yeet a peacock if you tried. They're very, very heavy birds. They're all muscle as well. You don't want to yeet a peacock. Bird people, let me know. Do you yeet them? Or any other neurodivergent people find that you underreact to things you're expected to have a big response to, death, breakups, terrible news, and overreact to things you're expected not to get upset about. Relatable, right? So I have this thing called alexithymia, which is almost like struggling to understand it's not like straightforward just struggling to understand my emotions. Oh, poor me. Oh, I can't get it, you know, whatever. But it is very much a delayed processing for me. So for example, people tell me really bad news and then I don't sort of feel it for a little bit afterwards. Sometimes I can read something or be told something really, really awful. And it can take me ages, hours, days, weeks I could be thinking about the thing. So it's kind of like delayed and a lot. But at the time, it can be really, really useful. So most of the time, I'm kind of a bit like a robot, but I'll deal with whatever happened or deal with whatever emotions afterwards. Which, two-sided sword, I think. A good listener is someone who looks at the speaker, sits still, thinks about what they hear, asks questions, pays attention, gives feedback, does not interrupt the speaker, stays focused, speaks only when it is their turn, stays patient, relates to the topic. Well, this is, it says this is ableism on the front here, but this is actually more like a gold medal neurotypical social interaction, right? So this is kind of where you bring your children up to do all of these things. Hell, there aren't neurotypical adults that do these things. It feels a little bit like taking the good option in every role-playing game, or being like an NPC almost, being like this. Even the most diplomatic neurotypicals are not always like that. And I do tend to find like the sitting still thing, is that really necessary? Is it more important to understand what somebody's saying and think about your response? And sometimes, for example, an autistic person who might not manage with the whole, normal, quote unquote, sort of neurotypical back and forth interactions, may interrupt each other, may info dump about a topic, may tell a story that's similar in response to the story of the person who's telling them their story. Does that make sense? As an example, right? And it's like, hey, I'm listening to you, I relate, so I'm going to tell you an example of a story of a similar thing that happened in my life and how I solved the problem, if it is a problem. And that shows you that I'm relating to you. But you talk to neurotypicals like that and you'll be thought of as selfish and making it all about yourself. We've got different styles of communication here. It's not just this. And I hope that teachers of primary school age children will take that on board, right? Therapist, your feelings are valid. Me, what if I feel that they are invalid? Therapist scribbles, oh fucking her notes. Your feelings are valid. What, my feelings of imposter syndrome. Terrible, terrible imposter syndrome. That's a good one. What it looks like. Here's just a jumper with a tag sticking out. We went through this on my live stream, actually. In fact, I ended up cutting my finger because I was very quickly slicing off tags with a knife just before going live last Tuesday. I've always done that, right? And I never realised that was a neurodivergent thing. I suppose until really kind of starting my YouTube channel and finding that this is a fairly common experience. Because do neurotypicals not take the scratchy tags out of their clothes? Do they not? Come on now. What it feels like is a cactus sticking there instead. That's what it's like. Me, after realising that they don't care about the story that I'm sharing in the middle of telling it. I've been there. And then, of course, you just sort of stop. And it just feels like you've just lost, right? Like, there wasn't a game being played before, but there is now, and you started with minus 10 points. That's kind of how it feels. I relate to that guy, or at least that in that sentence. There's a lot to be said, by the way, of just ploughing through and finishing your story, right? Assert your dominance. How do people stay in the house all day? Response, all my stuff is there and I don't like people. It's my spawn point. Bert and Ernie meme. Stuff I need to do, special interests, and chronic fatigue instead. Spending your focus on special interest and chronic fatigue. Yeah, I feel like that. I was playing video games instead of working on a video. Literally the first time in weeks, I'm trying to give myself a bit of time off, and then, I then feel sort of guilty about spending time on those sort of special interests, and then you might end up feeling tired because you're doing all the things that you're passionate about rather than the things that you're kind of supposed to do. Yeah, that's relatable. Oh, this is the bad treatment of Zelensky in the White House. It's a photograph from that where Trump and JD Vance are being very dismissive. And it says, me starting to talk about my special interest again. I don't want to kind of correlate that to the war or to the things that are going on. But yeah, it does often feel like that, where you're trying to sort of talk about something that you need to talk about, or you need to explain, or you need people to understand. Outside of that meme, this is kind of like a bad example almost, this meme, because yeah, you're trying to talk about things that are important to you, and then other people are just sort of shutting you down because they're just not interested. And it's the autistic people are the rude ones, by the way. Start every phone call with, my phone is about to die. Then you can hang up whenever you want. Skeletor will return with more introvert tips. Yeah, I suppose. I hate phone calls. Quite famously, really. I made a video on it. It's linked above. Click the card if you want to watch it. If you actually end the call using the sort of hang up button, that actually hangs up the call. But if you actually go to airplane mode, it will cause the call to then drop. So do that one rather than pressing the red button. This is the Drake one. What is it, Drake? I don't know. Getting in the shower. No. Being in the shower. Yes. Getting out the shower. Oh, no. Yeah. The worst bit is actually getting out of the shower. Getting in the shower is... Getting out of the shower is, ugh. So the way I deal with it is we have a really powerful dehumidifier in the bathroom. I'll run it for a little while before getting in the shower. So the place will basically be like a really hot, dry desert. So getting out is less of a problem. In fact, I'll get out, I'll wrap myself in a towel, and I'll play on my phone and I'll be dry in like 5 minutes. You've got to watch the electrical safety, but changing your environment, right? Making it that little bit easier. Run the shower for a couple of minutes and just check the water before you get in. How to run short and effective meetings. And there's 3 people here just planking in front of the thing. And the idea is that the meeting's over when they fail their plank. Meetings are generally a big waste of time, and a lot of organizations and a lot of companies will not really understand how expensive meetings actually are when you sort of add up the cost of all of the meetings. You sort of add up everybody's sort of salary and all the taxes and the overheads of running the space and all this sort of stuff, and you sort of add it all together. It's quite expensive. I would say, in terms of the meetings that I'm involved in, if I'm charging for them or I'm charging for my time, they tend to run fairly short and succinct and to the point. But if I'm not, or it's part of a service, or it's some meeting even for a third sector, for a charity even, people will just have meetings just for the sake of small talk and, I don't know, empire building maybe? Is that too unkind? Okay, this is from XCKD. It's a graph, and it's human proximity to cat. Intelligence down as you get closer to the cat, and inanity of statements increases. For example, a stick person here goes, "You're a kitty." Well, yeah. Relatable. The more cats that are around, the lower my intelligence is. This is true. Being autistic is repeating the exact thing you mean over and over very clearly, while the people around you make a game out of seeing how much they can misunderstand you. Yeah, it feels like that. It really, really does. I'm struggling to find that funny. It's relatable, but it really does feel like that. If you aren't autistic, you want to know what that feeling is like, it's like this. And working on those skills, the communication skills side of things, it's kind of important, but it does also feel like it takes forever and ever and ever to level up. Since I've started my YouTube channel, hopefully you've seen my communication improve. It's purely as a result of kind of like the grinding away, lots and lots and lots of time for a really long time period. And I feel like I'm like a few points higher than where I was before. And it's still not enough to not have this happen. It's just like, when will I be able to not be misunderstood? When you realize, it's a guy holding a book here, and it's, when you realise you've been reading with your eyes, but not your brain for the last 3 pages, all the time. And my brain just wants to read and read and read and read and read. I am what is often called hyperlexic. What a weird kind of humble, braggy, boasty term that is. It's a little bit like twice exceptional. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to read. My brain is like, I'm almost like I'm getting bored of what I'm reading, and I just want to read fast, and I skim read, and then it's like, okay, what have I absorbed from that? I ask myself. Absolutely nothing. And I have to do the whole thing again. And I may as well have just read it slowly and taken my time in the first place. Anybody else like that? I think it's ADHD read. Okay, slightly rude one. $50 and I'll do whatever you want. Introverts, can you make a doctor's appointment for me? Yeah. I just want someone to do all of the admin stuff that involves all of that with other people. It's such a pain in the butt, honestly. I tend to avoid places like doctor's surgeries for this exact reason. It'll be great if I could just give somebody just a few dollars. Here, could you make the appointment for me? I think my actual last doctor's appointment, I had a rotator cuff injury and I just lived with it for a couple of weeks, and it was Nina that phoned and booked me the appointment. And then because the appointment was there, I had to go. Does anyone relate? People my age, I miss primary school. We were all so carefree and all of our needs were met for us. Me, a high-masking autistic who went undiagnosed as a child. You sure about that? I actually want to know the origin of this picture. It doesn't seem to be AI. I don't know. I mean, AI would have gotten like 5 legs on the horse, right? It says, "Hold on, partner. I am overstimulated. My friend doesn't try to converse, but is always sending me memes. Always tagging me in random things. What does that mean? I love you is what it means. It's a love language, right? Like pebbling, or like gifts, or like spending time, or acts of service, or thinking about someone and trying to troubleshoot a problem for them. It's a form of love, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a really, really good thing. It's a really, really positive, really, really happy thing. I know people that just pretty much communicate in memes, and some of those memes will be, I'm reading them out in this meme review, because they'll be on the server and they'll be in the Feral Memes channel, and I'm Therapist, you said you were disappointed with life and how the world operates. What were your expectations? Me, It does feel a little bit like that. It feels a little bit like that scene from Sia's movie Music. It feels a bit like the town that music lives in Sia's movie. One of the hardest things to learn as a depressed former gifted kid is that half-assed is better than nothing. Take that 50%, 40%, even 20% job. Scrubbing your face is better than not taking a shower at all. Picking up your clothes is better than never cleaning. Nibbling on some bread is better than starving. Do things halfway. Now you're better off than you were before. It's absolutely true. Done is better than perfect. One of my college professors used to say, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. I didn't understand that for years because I didn't do anything poorly. I couldn't do anything poorly. I had to do everything perfectly. But brushing your teeth for 30 seconds is better than not brushing them at all when 2 minutes seems exhausting. Doing 10 minutes of yoga is better than 10 minutes of sitting when 30 minutes of cardio feels impossible. Changing my clothes is good when a whole shower is impossible. Standing on the porch for a few minutes is worth it after being in the house for 3 days straight because I don't have the energy to go anywhere. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, because doing it poorly is better than not doing it. I'm going to be taking that away today. Taking it to the brain bank. This is a tardigrade. I think tardigrades look really, really cool, right? The water bears. Just because I can survive harsh conditions, like outer space and the vacuum of space, doesn't mean I should have to. Yeah, that's true. Again, this comes back to my video last week. If you've watched it, let me know in the comments below. If you haven't, you probably should. It seems to have been a really, really popular video, and it's about your environment. And some people took that to mean, oh, all of society, you're just going to sit and wait for all of society to change. But it's not like that at all. Sometimes your environment is just the stuff that's really close to you. Maybe your environment is brushing your teeth for 30 seconds instead of 2 minutes, or getting in the shower, or doing a little bit of a task, just improving something in your vicinity in a small way that makes your life better every day. It's as simple as that. And yeah, society should fucking change. Anyway, I was in an autism evaluation last week because I didn't have my original diagnosis on paper, and they were asking me common knowledge questions, and one of them was, who wrote Hamlet? And for some godforsaken reason, I heard Hamilton. So I said, the book or the musical? And the doctor said, there's a musical? And we both stared at each other for 45 seconds while I opened up my past dialogue log in my brain and loaded in Hamlet. They also asked who wrote Sherlock Holmes, and I couldn't for the life of me remember Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's name, but I did remember that he had beef with Houdini, so because he so deeply believed in fairies and ghosts, but Houdini didn't, so they were mortal frenemies. And I talked about that for several minutes, and the doctor said, interesting, and wrote down what I can only assume was autistic, underlined 3 times. We are a bit extra, it's true. I'm kind of an absent friend, like I will love you with my whole heart and go out of my way to give you any help that you need, but I tend to live in my own world and suck at keeping up communication, and I'm really sorry to anyone who takes that personally. Extroverts, I want milk, I want a fish, I want a mouse. These are extrovert cats, obviously. INFJ, I want to make this world a better place. My dog chases coyotes but won't pee in the rain unless I cover her with plastic bags. Why should she have to go out and get rained on? Obviously, she wants to be covered in plastic bags so she can chase coyotes. The coyotes see these plastic bags darting by at 30 miles an hour. Yeah, they'd be gone. That's what that's about. The dog is playing a very high game here. I'm just saying, everyone that confuses correlation with causation eventually ends up dead. Yes. Chinchilla? Chinchillist. Again, with the whole cigarette thing, smoking's bad, okay? Due to unfortunate circumstances, says this cat, I'm awake. It's more like, due to unfortunate cats, I am now awake. Oh, it's another cat one. Everyone wants to talk about gaslighting. Nobody wants to talk about how cats domesticated themselves and modelled their meows off human baby cries to better manipulate our emotions. The fact that a cat can walk into your house and be like, I live here now, and most people will just go buy food and litter for them and let them, is pretty impressive as an evolved trait. It is. It's a passive. All cats have. Every day I wake up and plan on doing things, but then I just cuddle up with a fleece. Yeah. She needs a blankie and her plushie. She had a good time, but she's overstimulated. Honestly, if you've seen my burnout video on my channel, it's only about 5 minutes long. Most of that burnout was caused by kind of doing things that I really enjoy to a really intense level, and ending up completely overstimulated and not knowing how to deal with that, and then burning out for months. When I'm given verbal instructions, can you please repeat the part of the stuff where you said about all the things? If my YouTube channel fails and I have to go and get a full-time job working for an IT firm somewhere, one of the accommodations I'm going to be pulling out is written instructions, please. Just try and manage interruptions and written, let's agree, written instructions. What people think ADHD inattentive type is. Squirrel. What ADHD inattentive type actually is. And then poor planning and organizational skills, trouble focusing on task at hand, difficulty learning or organizing new information, frequent daydreaming, difficulty following instructions, trouble starting and finishing projects. That's just half of it. Also ADHD inattentiveness. Not reading any of the second half of the above pick because you saw it was really long. You got me. Reminder that Winnie the Pooh wore a crop top with no underpants and ate his favourite food and loved himself, and you can too. Maybe not in public necessarily. It's the social masking of actually having to have clothes on. It does help, by the way, to live in a cold climate, and then everybody is like at least wearing clothes. Okay, here's a flame in shoes, and it says, you can do anything. Caution, burnout ahead, but not everything. Well, I don't know about that, because one of my biggest burnouts was on doing a ton of stuff that I really enjoyed doing, losing sleep, not eating properly and looking after myself properly, then ending up with an autism diagnosis, and then a YouTube channel, and then making a whole load of lovely new friends. So maybe I can do everything. But actually, on a serious note, this is not recommended. I do not recommend my way of working and living. I think I don't recommend it to anybody. It's not. I'm not saying go out and get a whole load of cats or whatever, or just fill up your schedule by just ploughing in all the things you enjoy. Oh, you like that? Just do it more. Oh, you like that as well? Well, do that more as well, and just do them all together at the same time. This is really not great, but it just is the way it is. And I mean, if you want to know more about what I'm doing, I guess in between YouTube videos and live streams and all that sort of stuff, you can join my Patreon, which has extra content and, most importantly, access, even on the lowest tier, just $4 a month, to the Scratching Post Discord. Now, it does help me to make videos, particularly my in-depth ones, my science communication videos, my autism topic guides, all of that stuff. It takes an awful lot of time, not today particularly, mostly because I've run out of time, but it takes an awful lot of time. So thank you all very much to those of you that do. Please subscribe, hit the like button, maybe stim the subscribe button, maybe stim it, maybe it is very squishy, I've been told. And I will see you all in the next video. More memes and autistic humour up here. And then just here is my last week's video. On autism isn't the problem. It's to do with the environment and all that sort of stuff. So I'll see you later. Bye.